Where exactly do we go when we die? Christians talk about heaven, but they also talk about a new heavens and a new earth. What's the difference between the two? And out of these two, where do we actually go when we die? If we go to heaven, why do we even need a new heaven and a new earth? Hi, my name's Harley, and I'm looking at a bunch of questions about heaven, and I hope to touch on these particular questions that I think are fascinating in this video as we look at heaven, present heaven, and the new heavens and the new earth. Let me put this plainly. Inside of Christianity, there is much confusion over these questions. What does a Christian who believes in the Bible actually believe about heaven? If you or I have a family member or friend who loves God and has lived their life for Him, where should we believe that they are right now? And how does that belief intersect with what the Bible tells us about the new heavens and the new earth when we read the book of Revelation? Well, to try and help us think through these things, I want to talk about two places and one event. The first place that I want to talk about is a place called the present heaven, or as some theologians like to call it, the intermediate state. The present heaven is where most, and I say most, not all Christians, but most Christians agree that we go when we die. That our spirit goes and is present with God when we die. The reason that we believe that is there are several scriptures that point us that direction, and I just want to highlight a few of them to you. Ecclesiastes 12 verse 7 is one of those, where it says, "And the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it." Paul, who is a man known for helping start a lot of churches in the New Testament, says this in 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 8. He says, "We, Christians, would rather be away from the body and at home with the Lord." There's that idea again, being away, leaving the body, and our spirits going and being present with God. Paul again in Philippians chapter 1, verse 23 says that departing and being with Christ is something that he's looking forward to. If you look at the life of Jesus in Luke chapter 23, verse 43, Jesus is dying on the cross. There's two criminals next to him, and one of those criminals reaches out to him and asks for grace. And Jesus' response to him is to say, "I assure you that today you will be with me in paradise." So all of these scriptures come together and help us to believe that at the moment, those of us who are right with God through Jesus and Jesus alone, that the moment that we die, that our spirit goes and is present with God in the present heaven, that we leave our bodies behind. Now, I just want to make a note. When we talk about the present heaven, we are not talking about a thing called purgatory. Purgatory is an idea and a concept that is not found in the Bible. But those of us who are Christians do need to look forward to and hope for more than just the present heaven. Randy Alcorn, in his really helpful book called Heaven, talks about and uses it as an analogy to say that the present heaven in some ways is like a stopover on a journey. It is an important step, but we have a lot more to look forward to. I told you that we'd think about two places and one event. Let's talk about the event. The event that I want to talk about is the resurrection. What is the resurrection, or as some people call it, glorification? Well, it is a biblical future event where those of us that are right with God, where our spirits that have been in the present heaven and we've died, will be reunited with our bodies at His second coming. And those that are right with God, that are alive at that time, will be caught up with them. Now, if you want to read about this in vivid detail, go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. I'm not going to read it for us right now, but it's a really exciting future event that we look forward to. And this event of the resurrection seems to sit in between the two places that we're talking about, the present heaven and the eternal heaven, or the new heavens and the new earth. And there's a lot of debate inside of Christianity as to the timing and how this is all going to play out. And that's not the focus of our conversation today. But what I will say is, let's talk about the second place, the eternal heaven. The eternal heaven, or the new heaven and the new earth, is something that all Christians should be excited about. It's something that we should absolutely be looking forward to. And rather than just telling you why you should look forward to it, I want to read for you Revelation 21, which describes it. And so Revelation 21, verse 1 through 3 says this: "Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, the New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from heaven saying, 'Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be their God.'" What we're seeing described here is a future event that is something incredible. Because what we're told here in Revelation 21 is that heaven and earth in the future will be combined. That these two dimensions will actually be married to one another. You see, at present, there is a divide. There is heaven and there is earth, but in the future, with the new heaven and the new earth, the two will come together, that they will be married, that God and his dwelling place will be amongst humanity and their dwelling place. Now, some Christians like to hold this notion that the earth that we live in is horrible, that it's bad and it's corrupted, and we should try and flee from it like this burning ship, that we need to abandon it. But what the Bible actually teaches us is that the earth is going to be new, and that means that the present earth is something that we should care for and look after, because God's given it to us as a gift and as a template of what we have to look forward to in the future. And what we have to look forward to is a new earth, a physical, tactile, beautiful, and perfect earth for our internal enjoyment. So don't be confused by tradition or by bad teaching or by unbiblical notions. Heaven is not some sort of detached fantasy with clouds and harps and all sorts of floating around, or some sort of spirit realm in which we'll exist for all of eternity. Mankind, humans, are physical. And our story, as the Bible portrays it, it starts in this perfect physical garden, and where it ends is in a perfect physical city. That's the story of the Bible. And when I say end, I don't mean end, where it really begins the new eternity that we get to look forward to. And so what's my point here? My point is this: we need to believe in the present heaven. It's an encouragement for us to know that those who die who love God are in the present heaven, and we too get to look forward to that. But you also need to look forward to the resurrection. I want to encourage all of you to look forward to the resurrection. And then thirdly, I want to ask us to understand and hope in the eternal heaven. We have so much to look forward to in the new heavens and the new earth that are very physical and very tangible. Thanks for these questions. I do want to thank those of you who are asking questions. If you do have other questions that you'd like to ask, please send them in. There's instructions on how to do that below. Again, thanks for joining us. If you'd like to see more videos, obviously we'd love you to subscribe. And thanks again for joining us.